Oke guys, kembali lagi di audiobook free sample Google Playbook, dan buku kali ini yang akan saya bacakan adalah Trapped in Battle Royale, Clash at Fatal Fields, karya Devin Hunter. Jadi buku ini menceritakan tentang seorang anak yang tiba-tiba mendapati dirinya masuk ke dalam dunia Battle Royale. Dia sedang main game, tiba-tiba masuk ke dalam permainan yang sedang dia mainkan. Nah, kenapa saya mau baca ini? Karena anak yang paling kecil itu sekarang lagi suka main Fortnite. Siapa tahu dengan membacakan buku ini dia mungkin jadi tertarik untuk baca buku. Jadi langsung saja kita bacakan bukunya. Chapter 1. Gray and his friends watched the clock as they waited the last minutes of school. Usually, it was Finn who was the most antsy, but today it was Gray, and not just because it was the last day of school. Log into Discord so we can talk, Finn said. It'll be easier to teach you that way. Okay, Gray said as the seconds stretched out. It's under my dad's name, but I'll find you. Cool, this will be awesome. Finn gave a wicked grin. Though you'll probably be a total noob and get me killed, I'll be able to beat you soon. I have all summer to practice, Gray said. They both laughed and the bell rang out their freedom. See you online. See ya. Finn ran for the buses. But Gray lived close enough to school to walk. So he raced back home after the last day of 6th grade. Today was the day he would finally get to play Fortnite like the rest of his friends. He had gotten the perfect grades that his parents demanded, and he hadn't fought with his younger sister even when she annoyed him on purpose. Now his father had downloaded the Battle Royale version last night, promising Gray could play the moment he got home from school. Now bursting through the front door, he raced to the computer in the living room. It was an old computer and kind of leggy, but Gray didn't care. Gray turned it on and bounced with excitement as the screen lit up. Only for an hour, Gray, his mother called from the kitchen. Okay, he logged into Fortnite, ready to join the epic fights his friends were always talking about, but then an unexpected window popped up on the screen. Updating program. Gray groaned. How could there already be an update when he just got it last night? Now this would eat into his time to play, and he didn't have much as it was. The update bar barely budged at first, thanks to his slow computer, but then it started to move faster near the end. He placed his hand on the mouse, ready to make a profile and drop onto the island for the very first time. Now Finn would be waiting for him to get on Discord. Gray would do that after the update. Finn would teach him the ropes. He'd been playing since the game came out. Gray already knew a little bit, having watched Finn play when they hung out. Finn's favorite place to start was Fatal Fields. Finn would pretend to be a noob, but then he'd kill the few other players there and take the loot for himself. Now Gray thought his friend was clever, though maybe a little mean for hunting noobs. Even still, it would be nice to have Finn's help and protection. Now finally the update finished and Gray clicked launch. As he did, his vision grew fuzzy. He tried to rub his eyes, but his hands felt numb and he couldn't tell if he was moving his arms at all. He felt like he might throw up, and now was not the time to get sick. Gray tried to concentrate on the screen, but his head spun as well as his vision. He looked down at his hands and gasped. They looked like they were going invisible. But even worse, it seemed like they were getting sucked into his computer screen. It felt like his body was failing. It felt like his body was falling, and yet his face moved closer to the screen. Just when he felt like he'd lose his lunch, everything went black. Gray didn't know how much time had passed when he woke up, but he probably wasted his whole hour for Fortnite play. When he opened his eyes, he expected to see his room, Maybe his mom would be there checking on him since he was obviously sick. She has to have found him lying on the floor by the computer. Worst case scenario, he worried he'd see a hospital room. He never passed out before, but he'd heard it could be serious. He wasn't in his room or at the hospital. His mother was nowhere to be found. As he took in the large open space, something that looked like an old rusty warehouse from a video game, he was surprised to find a crowd of people staring back at him. They were of all different ages and races, boys and girls, but one thing they all had in common: no one was smiling. The people glared as if they were sizing him up, and as he pulled himself off the cement, his cheeks reddened under the scrutiny. He ran a hand through his brown hair, looking away from the crowd. Did he look strange? His hands looked the same size, and his skin was still a tan color. He was wearing the same t-shirt and shorts he had on when he sat down. He touched his face. There was nothing out of the ordinary. That was when Gray realized he wasn't the only one facing them. There were four others standing by him who appeared equally confused. The girl on his right looked to be about his age, with black hair in a ponytail long enough to reach her waist. The guy on his left was older, or at least in high school, and he towered over Gray in both height and width. Gray only wished that much more that he had hit his growth spurt. So what's going on here? The question came from the man standing on the other side of the girl. He looked to be as old as Gray's dad, with gray in his dark hair and beard. In response, a woman appeared out of thin air right in front of him. Gray jumped back in surprise. He couldn't have just seen that. It was impossible, but the crowd behind the person didn't seem shocked at all. Now that he looked at them closer, he realized they were bored. "Greetings, new players," the woman said with a too wide smile. She was dressed in a black suit. "Welcome to the competition of a lifetime. You've been randomly selected for this special virtual reality edition of the Fortnite Battle Royale. I'm the admin and will be facilitating your tutorial." Gray didn't know what to make of this. He had never heard of a VR version of Fortnite, and last he checked, he had to have a special advisor for virtual reality. Though he couldn't deny this was the most real VR he'd ever experienced. He tried to grab at whatever visor it might be on his head. Maybe his parents had surprised him with a graduation present. But there was nothing there. He couldn't hear anything but the game or feel anything like his bed or desk. It was like he was actually in the game. Except that was impossible. "I didn't download no virtual reality edition," the old man yelled. "How do I cancel this? Computer, quit program." The admin did not stop smiling. "As I said, none of you downloaded this edition. You were selected from around the world. But don't worry, you will be able to communicate and everyone's speech will be translated into their language. I will now explain the parameters that must be met for you to lead the competition." "This is dodgy," the girl next to him said. She already had water in her eyes, but she fought back. The admin continued, "It is a new season of competition in the Battle Royale, and the 5 top players have been granted a return back to the real world. Thus, we welcome you to this opportunity of a lifetime. You have now joined the fight for the next 2-month season, and if you rank in the top 5 players, you will be granted passage back to the real world as well." "You mean we're stuck here for 2 months?" the teenager blurted out. "I have football camp this summer. You can't kidnap us. Your buddies are currently in a comatose state outside of the game," the admin said. "You have not been kidnapped. Your minds are just processing this reality instead of the one you came from. While this may be difficult to accept, it will be more productive to focus on the task at hand. Now, what is out of your control?" "Bring it on. Well, life out there sucked anyway." This voice came from the person who was on the other side of the giant football player. Gray had to lean over to see the girl, who looked to be older than a high schooler, maybe in college. She had short green hair and she smiled like she had just gotten a free lifetime pass to her favorite amusement park. "That is the attitude of a winner," the admin said. "Now let's review the structure and rules. First, while you may be familiar with Fortnite's Battle Royale system, the structure here is slightly different. There are only 100 of you, so you will be playing the same adversaries for this entire season. Should a person's body be eliminated while your mind is here, an immediate replacement will be acquired mid-season. But this has not occurred as of yet, so please do not be overly concerned. You will be allowed to form alliances of up to 4 people in a squad, but you are also allowed to go it solo if you would prefer. All combinations will be in the same game, so it's up to you to decide what works best for you. Well, that's crap, the older man complained. No way to make it solo against squads. We've had 3 players win their way back to reality solo, the admin defended. As for battles, everyone is expected to fight in every battle. There will be 5 official battles a day and only 5. You are permitted to practice here in the lobby. There is a designated practice area arranged in a similar fashion to the game. You may also talk strategy, but once the official battles begin, only squads will be able to talk to each other. Your player ranking will be determined by the average ranking you finish in your games overall. The top 5 players in average rank will not necessarily always be the top 5 to win in battles, but they will have an overall high number of wins or close wins. At the end of the season, those with the top 5 average game rankings will leave this competition and 5 new players will be welcomed. Welcome! Well, Gray didn't think that was the right word for this situation. While he had been excited to play Battle Royale just an hour ago, it didn't feel so great now that he was being forced to do it, and he couldn't help thinking about how scared his parents probably were, discovering him passed out and now in some kind of coma. That was messed up. All of this was messed up. The rules of this version are similar, the admin continued in her unfeeling way. Gray couldn't tell if she was a computer program or if a person was controlling her. Either way, she felt real and yet mechanical. You must leave the battle bus and find gear to defend yourself with. All the items and their uses are similar to the computer version as it is the map. The storm also functions the same way. You must stay inside the eye or take damage. Your appearances as new players will be randomly generated, but as you earn rank, you will be rewarded with choices in your appearance and tools. This helps players know who is higher ranking within the game and thus who they need to beat in order to improve their own rank. And those are the basics. Any questions? The admin finished. My parents will sue you the second I tell them about this, the football player said. This whole thing is messed up. Well, they have to believe your claims that your consciousness spent all this time in a video game first, the admin replied. Our winners have yet to convince anyone of this truth. Why are you doing this? The black-haired girl next to him asked quietly. Well, it's an experiment on multiple levels, the admin said, to test the technology to observe human behavior under stress. It's unethical, is what it is, the old man grumbled. Well, perhaps, the admin said. And yet your opinions will not allow you to escape. Can you all stop whining? The green-haired girl said. Well, minus the silent kid, let's get to the fighting. Ray, the admin said, Hazel is right that you have not spoken. Is there anything you would like to add before we begin today's battle? Alright, that was the free sample for Clash at Fatal Fields, I think. This is an exciting book, let me tell you. So, actually this is his first book. Ini cuma buku pertama, ada beberapa seri buku, di sini ada sampai 5 atau 6. Seru banget, kayaknya saya akan beli bukunya dan memberikannya kepada anakku. Gimana? Setuju? Ragil? Mau baca lagi? Mau baca lebih jauh? Yes, of course you are. It's interesting, isn't it? It's fun. Alright, let's buy this book, shall we? Oke, sampai ketemu lagi di sesi baca buku, audiobook free sample Google Playbook yang berikutnya. Nah.